Hi, Shasubira here. This is still the Mother of Sons series, and I want to highlight a few things that I have identified as key deficits in our sons. Key deficits because without these elements, our sons are unskilled. They're ill-prepared for life. My conversations have been with young men across from age 15 to 35. And some are working, some are not, some are in school, some are just hanging out. And they've been key, very, very key things that I think we need to discuss. Deficit number one is self-love. Yes. Our sons don't think they're good enough. Most young men have a sense of, what's the word? That they do not meet the bar. That's the sense our sons have. They have a sense of, I can't do it. I don't know how. I've never been taught how. Nobody cares about me. They are completely unaware that they're created in the image and likeness of God. They're also unaware that there's a space and a shape in the world that looks exactly like them. That from before the foundations of the earth, they were created as something very specific. It's critical for me because in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, God comes to Jeremiah and says, I created you. Before I knit you in your mother's womb, I created you. I knew you. I called you prophet. So that if Jeremiah became anything other than prophet, he had not attained the mark. When our children understand that they are unique and special, it changes their self-confidence. Now, I'm not talking about the special of big-headed. No. I'm talking about the special of understanding I have a very specific place in the world. That's the special I'm talking about. Secondly, there's an emotional deficit because we tell our sons, boys don't cry. What do you think they're doing with their emotions then? When they're angry, where does that go? When they're disappointed, where does that go? They bottle it and bottle it and bottle it. And then one day it blows up. It really blows up. How about if we taught our sons that there's nothing bad about emotions? Feel them. Feel the anger. Feel the fear. But do something useful with it. If you're angry, don't hit somebody. Go punch a gym bag. Go do boxing. Take a run. Walk away. Sometimes you do have to fight. But let's encourage our young men to feel. And we laugh at them because we say that a man is strong. A man doesn't cry. That's not true. That's not true at all. It's not true. So after self-love and a lack of emotions, the other deficit they have is training, skilling. They don't know how to pivot. Where pivoting is something is not working and you find an option. Many don't know how to analyze options. Many don't have stickability, that's what I call it, tenacity. They don't know how to stick with the task until it's done. Many don't have foresight. They don't have insight. And I dare say that's a function of how we are raising our children. In this generation where I can take something, pop in the microwave and it's cooked in 2 minutes. We let our children think that you start working today, you're a millionaire in 2 years. It's a lie. Unless you're a drug dealer, it's a lie. We do not tell our children that it takes 5 to 7 years to even stabilize a company. And number 4 is the ability to plan. It is commonly said if you plan to fail, you just have to fail to plan. But if you intend to succeed, you must have a plan. Our sons dream big, big. When I listen to the young men and the things they want to do and the places they want to reach, it's this huge thing. But they don't know how to break it down into steps. They don't know how to figure out where to start and how to measure progress. They don't know. How do we get our children past these 4 key deficits? Lack of self-love, emotional imbalance, no training, and the inability to plan, is by spending time with them. I had the blessed opportunity to spend 6 weeks with a group of 10 young men recently in a career planning workshop that is part of a bigger ex-candidates fellowship. And the young men were aged between 19 and 24. And so what we began doing is we took one of their career dreams and we broke it down. This young man wanted to be a fitness instructor, and that's the only thing he could see. So I asked the rest of the class, what else can he do with that skill? The list was endless. And I was watching the face of this particular young man. He had never seen more than 3/4 of those possibilities. So we listed, he could be a personal trainer, he could be a gym instructor, he could be an online fitness coach, he could even go into security, right? So we took security as the major one and then broke down the things he needed to learn. First of all, because it was fitness, he needed to understand what it means to be fit, what it means to be an instructor, what it means to eat well. And then when he moves into security, there were so many components, but we were looking about VIP security. So then he needed to understand threat assessment, risk analysis. He needed to understand planning for all eventualities. He needed to understand terrorism and counterterrorism. And I watched this young man. He was one of the old ones. He was over 20. I watched him begin to see that what he had always thought was a big dream could even get bigger, right? Even I was shocked about the options because the younger generation think a lot faster and a lot further. But then we asked the question, what if you can't start now? What would you do? His answer was, I don't know. Mr. Dewey. So his friend said, you can start by taking whatever job you find to do. And remember your life plan and come back to the plan. But he didn't have a life plan. He didn't know what the possibilities were. So why do I say this was profound? Because I watched 10 young men move from a place of maisha ni mbaya, life is bad, life is hard, to a place of, if I have a plan, if I kind of know the path, I will be better off. And that got me thinking, what haven't I taught my son? What haven't I taught the young men around me? And it made me even more deliberate. So that is why I've begun this series. This series is for my sons and any other young man who's out there, to help you understand that all things are possible. We just have to track it. And this series is also for parents to understand what we must do to skill our sons so that the next generation, the next one, will be successful. We have making up to do in the existing generations. But if we are to hand the nation and the world to a group of young people who cannot focus and keep to the course, we are setting our great grandchildren up for disaster. I'm not one of those ones. So let's continue this journey of self-awareness and awareness for our children, that they may come to understand the things that have made us who we are. You are blessed.